Sona.
And my name is Sweetie, and welcome to
What They Don't Tell You podcast.
the pre-Dano edition.
So today's video is a part 2 of our What Happens Next series. So this is what happens after you hit submit of the AdStats application and right before interviews. And a lot of things go on during that time. So I feel like let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's crazy because I used to think you apply, you submit, and then you wait.
Right.
That's not the case. So what is the first thing that you do after you submit?
So I think the first thing is the supplements. So those are going to come roughly anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks after you submit.
And what are your supplements? Because when I think of supplements, I'm like, okay, my vitamins already. Like, what is just the supplements? What, and it's for every school or
yes.
What is it?
So most schools will have a supplemental application, so completely separate, specific to their school only. It could be different forms. Some have different questions, only 3 questions. Some will have an entire essay. So think of a mini personal statement all over again. But
Okay.
usually it's catered specifically to that school. So they're going to ask you, say, why blank? Why do you want to come here? What can you offer to our school, our class culture?
Were there any supplemental essays or questions that you came across that you were like, is there anything that caught you off guard when asking? Because I know everything seems very textbook, very straightforward, but I know that sometimes dental schools throw you a curveball to just see how you think, what your thought process is.
Right. So that's why these are so different for every school you apply to. And it really depends on the school's core values. Because I know a friend of mine applied to a specific religious school. So their supplement was all about their religious experience and what they did in that field, volunteering wise. I know some schools had ethical essays or describe a situation where you encounter a difficult ethical situation and what did you do, what your thought process. I've also had one which had, so for example, the school's main, push is their anti-racism policy. So the essay for that school was, what does that mean to you? What does anti-racism mean to you? Because that's very important to our school.
That's cool. I guess the supplemental essays or information that they ask for, it also gives you a better look at the school and what they value. It gives you a closer look. Too bad, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what we were saying before. Know what schools you're applying to because it's going to come back. They're going to ask, there's so many schools out here, so why us specifically?
Yeah.
That's when also they will send their secondary fee.
There's always a fee.
There's always a fee.
So I know that different schools have different procedures and requirements. How would you explain it to me, us? How would you explain it to us in a way to help us prepare for it? I was only preparing for the application process, and that's already so scary. And then I know once I submit, how would I prepare for that? For the interviews or the supplemental essays, or even understanding what the requirements is, what type of research do I need to do in order to prepare myself as much as I could?
Research in these schools as in-depth as you can. There's only so much information you can get from a website, but I would start there. School's personal website. It should have the basic information.
When you're looking at a school, what's important to you and what's your approach?
One of my number ones was community outreach because I really wanted to make a difference somewhere. So I think that was super important to me. So a lot of my schools I chose were in city settings or urban settings because those are the schools, because they have the population, they're going to have way more opportunities, volunteering experiences and things like that.
Casper ethics exam. What's that?
What's that? We touched a little bit on this on our last video. So some schools will require a third-party exam which they will review your scores and that'll be a part of your application.
That's the ethics exam. Okay. So it goes in line almost with the supplemental stuff. Casper exam could be considered a supplemental requirement for another school, or is that on top of?
So it's school specific. So I know when I applied, 2 different schools required it. They would not look at your application fully until that score was sent.
How do you study for that?
Ooh, that's a good question. People get really nervous with this Casper exam because it's not something they've normally been tested on. There's a lot of YouTube videos to explain what it is and how to score well. There's only 4 ways to score, quadrants. So 1 and 2 is probably the lower end, 4 being the best. They're just trying to test your honesty, your integrity. They're going to present different ethical situations to you. It's also timed.
Everything is timed. Gosh. growing up in New York gave me that muscle. I feel like I'm always rushing, or like there's always like a time frame on something. So dang, everything's timed.
You really need to have your typing skills in check, because some of them will be a video scenario. They show you like a weird situation and they'll be like, what are you gonna do? And some you will have to respond. You have like 2 minutes to type. You have to be quick.
I mean, I guess if there's an emergency, right? And you're in your office and you need to react. We are building that muscle.
Some will be just like a very typical school scenario. It's like you see your classmate cheating. What do you do?
I'm telling.
That's actually not the right answer.
I heard.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. Yeah, you would think, should we give this away?
If you guys want to know more, you can comment below or DM us on Instagram and
Yeah.
we can get into the details.
So if you saw your classmate cheating during an exam, what would you do?
What would you do?
And that was an actual question I had on mine.
That's great.
If you think it's to tell, that's not the right answer.
Like I told you, when I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, we saw someone shoplifting, we couldn't address them that way. We'd be like, if you grab, let's say, some pants, we'd be like, oh, we have a great shirt that goes with that. Like, we'll have to offer an alternative versus like, hey, you're stealing. Like,
Right.
so I'm interested to see what the answer is.
It's very similar to that, like working a way around it without
Yeah.
like actually confronting it.
Okay. What about, I guess what I'm thinking is, once you get the interviews, what's that time frame? Like, what's happening between like submitting an interview? So like, what's going through your mind? What are you planning for? Like, I don't know.
You think you hit submit and your application's complete, but like that's not the case. Your application's complete when the supplemental situation's done.
Oh.
Per school.
So that's not like interview and then they send you that stuff. So it's like you
Right.
submit, then you do those requirements for the schools, and then after
that,
evaluate
yeah.
that, then you are called or not called for interviews.
Exactly.
That's cool, because then it kind of helps your case. It helps them get to know you more.
This is why you need to research your schools, because they're gonna see how interested you are in them based on your answers. Some people don't get interviews. Some people get ghosted, which I've had plenty of schools that just ghosted me, and it's like, okay, well, that's okay.
Like, it's not you, it's me. Well, they don't even tell you anything.
No, they
right?
literally
straight
ghost you. It's like very dramatic. Like, at least say no. Like, give me an answer. You can get accepted or get interviews all the way to the last day, till the day school starts.
Wow.
Which is insane. Imagine just having to like drop everything. Like, you got in, school's tomorrow.
Story of my life.
That happened to my friend actually. So she actually had to do all that. She just got into medical school literally the day before class started. And then she had to like find an apartment, do everything else, blah, 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 and live in a hotel for 2 weeks.
And I could just imagine like not knowing or just feeling like you're not going to get anywhere. And then all of a sudden your life can change in a day.
So you never know these things. Never give up.
Never give up. You really, like, you are always this close.
Or you just never know. And I feel like relatable for both of us, right?
Yeah.
So I think I almost gave up so many times. And then I was like, okay, well, one last shot.
Your number is literally 3.
During those years when I didn't apply, I was like trying different careers, thinking like, okay, maybe I can be happy in something else. But then it never felt the same.
There's so many times that I felt discouraged. Like, okay, this is too much. I'm just going to go do something else. But I didn't. And here I am. I would never imagine knowing all this information. I don't even know where I would look. But we're going to tell you.
Those are my favorite comments we receive. You guys are so knowledgeable. How do you know all that?
Finding out as we go.
Yeah.
Always being open to learn. I mentioned in our last episode, I started a pre-dental prep course for the summer. And they're telling us all this information that I've researched. But even when you feel like you already know something, always be open to learn more about that thing or looking at it in a different perspective. We spoke about the DAT in one of our episodes, and then later on that day, we went over the same thing. At first, I felt myself getting like, oh, I know this. And I was like, you know what? Let me figure out what I don't know about this, or what I can share, or what I can learn from these people. So definitely being open to learning, whether you feel like you know the stuff or not. I did not know that your application's still pending
Yeah.
with that. I thought that that's processing, and then
Right.
I didn't even know the order, actually. Like, I thought that, like, you interview in between, like, supplements.
And it makes sense, too, because the ADSAS is like a very generic application. So that's going to all the schools. And then each school wants to know why them specifically. Why are both of you a good fit?
So, question. The schools that ghosted you.
Yeah. Let's go there.
Did they ask for supplemental stuff, or they just
I did the application, I did their supplements, paid whatever fees. That's when it's completely done.
non-refundable fees?
And then, yeah, just like no response. Not even a rejection, just like literally they ghost.
Because I'm like, okay, if you asking me for more, then I feel like you have interest. You're definitely calling me back.
That's what I thought too. I thought supplement means like, oh, like I'm special, right? That's specific, but no, they send it to everybody.
So.
They send it to everybody. But it's fine.
Is it? No.
I'm happy. It's my school, so it's fine. But
Everything happens for a reason.
I mean, a response would be nice. But
Anything. Like, it didn't work out. This is not what we're looking for. Something.
bonus, that's what we're going to talk about in our love and dating episode.
Oh, shoot.
We want to film an episode about like finding love or like dating as young professionals because I feel like ghosting is a great topic to talk about there too. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be juicy.
Yeah. And if there's anything that you guys want to learn about, let us know and we'll make a video on those things too. We're open to any suggestions because we could miss things. Everything's going so fast. Applications open, summer courses started for me, volunteering, just going back and forth between here and New York. Everything just seems so chaotic. I'm thriving. I'm loving it, but at the same time feels like it's escaping me. She was like sending me like smoke signals, like, listen, you need to start preparing now. Get yourself in the mind state. It was like January when we started.
I literally was like, start your application.
Yeah,
I was like,
and
start
I
your
was
personal
like,
statement, make that list of like your experiences, chronological order, know exactly what rec letters you're going to ask, like have the emails typed up. Like,
No,
you
she's
know,
crazy,
prepare.
but it works. No, seriously, because now I don't feel so suffocated. I don't feel so overwhelmed. I'm writing everything down on my planner, my whiteboard, in my calendar, making sure I remember all little details, anything, because in a blink of an eye, things could get so out of hand.
Especially from May to August, I think it's complete chaos.
Oh, yeah. This summer is canceled for me. We're just going to reconvene next summer because this is so important. I can't believe I'm applying. Finally sending these applications. I cannot believe that I'm moving forward with this step.
I'm so
can't.
proud. I'm so excited to see what happens the next few months for you.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, I'm excited for you too. You leave me.
Oh, let's not go into that.
We'll talk about that later. Revel in the chaos. That's the quote. Figure it out some way. We're going to talk about it more in detail with the interviews. But when you are applying for a school, when you go into the interviews, you do more research. Look at it as a job. So when you're working for a company, you want to work for a company, you want to know what the company is about. You don't want to just walk in there like, oh, hey. I want to go to, let's say, Nova. Okay, what do you know about Nova? I just want to live in Miami. You want to know what they stand for, what their values. That will also help with how you answer your supplemental essay questions.
Another pro tip, once you are doing these supplemental questions, make a doc. I made a document at every single school.
One thing someone's going to do is make a Google Doc with everything you could think of.
Yeah. But see, then you have like all that information. So do your research for these supplements anyway. Write down, okay, what's unique about these schools? Every school will have something unique. The one that I'm going to, they had a specific program they do after D1 year that's only specific to this school. So when at the end, when the interviewer asks you, do you have any questions for me? You can sound very knowledgeable. Be like, yes, I do actually. I heard, blank has this amazing program after D1. Can you tell me more about that? It makes you seem so like on top of your game. They're like, oh, this person actually wants to go here. They did their work and it's really impresses them.
I'd hate to be like, oh, no questions. Thanks for your time. Gotta go.
Never do that. We're going to talk more about that in interviews, like interview video, but always have a question.
Ooh. I'm going to be so prepared. I'm so excited. I heard a rumor that some schools require you to have teeth.
They do. They do. And my school specifically does have that requirement as well. You know you're going to get into dental school a year from now. I think I would definitely start teeth collections.
I have a little project. Well, that's what I call it. So I started. Once I heard that, I wasn't sure why, so I asked my mentor. So basically, you go to a dental office if you're shadowing, volunteering, working, whatever, and you guys do extractions, or even if you refer patients to an oral surgery office, you can contact that office to get any This sounds so crazy.
So
to
crazy.
collect any teeth that are still healthy that people may just have to extract this, whatever procedures it might have been. You can do that, but you do have to store them in a solution. So you want to do part Clorox, bleach, and water. What's the actual?
It was 1-10 ratio.
1-10 ratio.
So
of water.
Clorox to water.
Yeah, so you keep it in that solution, and anytime they do extractions, they'll either keep it somewhere for you, or you can go collect them if you're still in the same city. My little project is back in New York, but I'm always checking on it. Like, I'm always
Right.
calling like, hey, where's my project?
No,
Where's
you
my
were ahead of the
project?"
game because you started collecting
Yeah.
when you were assisting, which like I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think I would make it this far.
I didn't think of it either. Like I was
Yeah.
like, why? What do you need them for?
So for my schools, it might be different for other schools, but we use it for our endodontics course. So we need all the roots intact, and that's how you practice finding a canal and doing like faux practicing root canals on those teeth.
Ooh. You want some molars? I have a few.
Extracted.
Yeah. Not mine.
That's what I thought you were saying. That's what
From
I
my
thought.
personal collection.
Right. You were ahead of that. I started that
Yeah.
after I hit submit. That's when I realized like, oh, like these are the things I should be worrying about now. Still a year in advance, but this is when you should be thinking about things like that.
Yeah. I'll probably be traveling with them. I need to research if I need any paperwork or anything to travel with that because it's kind of weird.
I've heard one D4 telling me about their story, how like it was like a whole scene at the airport. She had to explain.
That's what I'm saying. I just picture someone like looking at little old me with
The
my
box
little,
of
my
human
box of
teeth.
human teeth.
She said it'd go through like multiple security checks because it did look very odd.
Yeah.
Dental
Like-
student. Like,
That's crazy.
imagine.
Like,
I'm not-
ma'am, step to the side.
I'm not a serial killer, I promise.
I swear there's not dead bodies. So that's
Yeah.
something to know. So if you're still volunteering and stuff, maybe call your doctor, your dentist, or oral surgeons that are around and they know.
That's actually another good point. I feel like even though you did hit submit on your application, you should still be keeping up with volunteering. Like, don't just all of a sudden submit and be like, oh, like I'm done with all my volunteering.
Yeah. Like I actually enjoy it. So it's something that I've done since I was a kid with my mom. Not volunteering, but giving back. Definitely recommend to keep doing it. Have some genuine intention. I actually want to give back. It feels good. It's very rewarding, honestly.
And you know what? I love that schools nowadays are like looking for that student. They're looking for like the well-rounded student as opposed to just the numbers, like brilliant one.
Lucky for us.
Score.
I am an empath who loves people and wants to give back genuinely.
Even for my last cycle, all the interview questions, they were targeted towards that. It was less about
Okay.
grades and about like, oh, like why did this happen? They were asking more about, oh, like I saw you volunteer at this location. What moved you about it? Why did you decide to do that location? They asked really specific things, wanting to know, I guess, the other parts of you that isn't grades, which I loved.
Yeah, there's so much more to me than my grades because you feel like you're just a number. I think I'll feel better after, like when I get to have those moments with different schools.
Obviously, yes, you do need to explain the bad grade, the like semester that didn't work out,
Yeah.
or plural. Like that's what AdSAS is for.
Yeah.
All those will be in the application. There will be spots to explain any kind of negative.
Mark on your
Yeah. But then after that, this is kind of the fun. Oh, I don't know, it's fun. Let me retract that. It's not fun.
PTSD.
But at least this is where you get to showcase like, who you actually are.
I was looking at my transcripts and I was like, oh, I remember this point. Even though I felt those sad moments, I was like, well, I see an upward trend on my transcripts and I'm like, okay, we got better. So it's also a good reminder of where you were versus where you are. I feel like this is my hair. So I know when you're applying for school, there's a portion where you fill out your financial aid. Do you do that separately? How do you go about the financial part of schools? Do you do financial aid during the process or is that different?
With the FAFSA and any kind of financial aid, it's not a part of like the main application. So it's not part of AdSAS. That is a whole separate application. And I think that opens up, I did it in like January. This is tough for people who don't get accepted on acceptance day, which is like usually December. But don't worry about that.
I'm gonna ghost all of you. That will be happening.
No, it will not. Even if they don't get in, they're on wait lists, whatever, they haven't heard back from schools, you would start filling out the financial aspect of that in like January. So even if you don't get in yet, like just start filling out the FAFSA for the schools that you or hoping to get in, at least that will start getting generated for you.
Okay, there's so much I want to know about the financial part. We'll make a separate video where we focus directly on finances and what happens during that process, because I thought it was like you send the application and you do some type of financial aid or something, loans, whatever, in that process as well.
For me, because I'm starting school in July, so all the financial stuff is happening right now. So things like the FAFSA loans versus like the Graduate Plus loans, and their different interest rates. There's like a lot
fun.
going on. I don't know if
Stressful,
fun's
but
the word.
I mean, as long as you know something, I would have been going into this
Blind.
just bad, just unprepared completely. I think that's what makes me appreciate the podcast, because I'm literally learning every episode. We have conversations all the time, but sometimes certain things slip my mind. I'm like, oh.
That's what inspired us to make this podcast, because we want it to be like we're just talking as friends.
Yeah, 'cause
And
we are.
we are, yeah. This is why I wish I had more dental friends or pre-dental friends before even getting this far. For so many years, I didn't have any.
Yeah, and I feel like that comes with being scared to talk about it. Being scared to talk about it kept me away from those circles, because as I started to talk about what I was going through and questions I may have had, I would meet someone that'd be like, oh, you know, I may not know the answer, but call this person, they'll know. Surrounded by people that are either already in the field or like yourself going into school July. You heard that right? She's going down to school in July.
It's coming up.
We excited. We have some great content for that too planned. So
Yeah, I think both of us.
Yeah.
So both of us would have very different summer journeys. Me, just like learning how to adapt to being a D1 and what that entails. And you are in like the thick of
I'm in the thick
application, DAT studying, and then you're gonna have interviews.
So
So much to talk
application,
about.
DAT studying, summer course. I'm crazy.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, summer course.
Pray for me, please. That's pretty much what happens after. You have your own personal stuff. There's other things.
It's school specific. This whole video was just so you have a little intel, because I know when I did this last year, I had no one to ask. None of my friends were applying with me, and I was just like figuring out as I go. I thought I'd be done. Like I had submit. I was like, oh, thank God, that's over. And then I'll get another email being like, oh, by the way, we need 2x2 passport photo of you. Oh, by the way, take this exam by this date. And I was like, wait, what? Like I thought I was done.
Definitely have professional pictures ready. Like don't send a selfie.
Some schools do require headshots.
Yeah, so make sure you have your headshots, research. What else?
Yeah, just make sure you know your schools.
Okay, well, you guys know the drill. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Click the like button and hit the bell notification to know every time that we post.
And our social medias are linked down below. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
And we are excited to share some more of our gems and our findings with you guys. So if you have any questions again or any ideas for us to talk about, go ahead and comment below or DM us.
Right. And like we said, it doesn't have to be completely professional. It's anything that we would be dealing with as professional.
Because some of these topics could be boring. And we're going back and forth. We're like, okay, we don't want to bore people to death. But part of the process, it doesn't feel boring when you're going through it. It's chaos, organized chaos. Yeah, as long as you're prepared and we're communicating with you guys. I always want it to be a community. I'm going to probably say it every time. Like, we're finding our tribe. We're finding our people. And we just want to give back however we can. So if it's making a video or helping you through your process, we'll be happy.
Well said.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.